All right, it looks like we have begun streaming. So I just got a message on my watch saying that we are now live. So hey, thank you guys for joining me here. I appreciate it. We are going to be taking some questions here in the chat. So we're going to be doing that as well. So let's go ahead and get that going. And then you guys put your questions there. I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I possibly can for you here today. If I don't answer your question, that means I either have not gotten to it yet or I have actively chosen not to answer it. So if you ask it again, well, and I skip it again, take a hint. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'll try to answer almost everything. I'm pretty open to what I do talk about, what I don't talk about, but there are some topics that we just, as a general rule, stay away from. So with that having been said, thank you again for joining. We appreciate that. I appreciate it sincerely. And let's get to some of the questions. All right, so first of all, Eric Columbe says, any thoughts on Seventh Continent Kickstarter? Not about the Kickstarter. I've actually have played the game once, and it seems interesting. But again, I'd like to play it again just to see if it didn't have enough in the first to really grab me. But I don't like to just write games off willy-nilly. So I do want to play it again to see how I like it. It is a very well-designed game. That goes without saying, and there's a lot of depth to it, and there's a lot of fun with it. It just might be too big for me. But I don't know. I want to play it again, like I said. But I did enjoy the experience. I just want to play it again to see how much that enjoyment, how much of that enjoyment carries over. So I think it's a very well-designed game, but we'll see about that later on. Let's see here. Everybody I'm saying hi to. Hello, 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 everyone. Hi from UK. Very good, Tim Mercer. Let's see here. All right. Chat is all ready. Hello, Jay. Good to see you. Kind of. There you go. Favorite game that came out recently? I am... Well, I'll tell you what. I haven't reviewed it yet. But I played it back at UKGE when I was able to visit Warhammer World. But Warhammer Underworlds Shadespire that's probably the one that's really rocking my brain right now. I'm really enjoying it. I played it 3 or 4 times back at UKGE when I was in Nottingham, but I've read the rule book twice now, and you know, I've explained it to some other people. I haven't been able to play it yet. Hopefully tonight after church I'm going to be able to play it with one of my boys, but I haven't played it again, rather. But that's probably the one that's really hot on my list right now. Let's see, what game am I looking forward to seeing most at Essen? You know, we're working on our top 10 games that we're looking forward to at Essen. We're working on that. We're going to be recording it on Friday, so be on the lookout for that. But I've got the games that I'm interested in after a first pass to 47. I think I've got 47 different games that I'm looking at right now to see if I can whittle it down to 10. I also am going to be making a list for my top 10 games that you need to go demo at Essen. That's a list that I'm going to be doing on my own. So that's another one for you to be looking out for. Because as I was looking through the list on the Geek, the little Essen tool that they have there were a lot of demo games that I've already demoed. And I was thinking, wow, I wish I could, because we usually don't put games that are just for demo. We usually only put games that are for sale at Essen on the Essen list. So I had the idea to make a top 10 games to go demo at Essen. And so I'm going to be doing that as well. So there's a lot of that kind of content coming out, so stay tuned. What inspired the beard? Whatever it is, thanks to it. Okay, well, thank you first of all for saying so. What inspired the beard was laziness while we were basically evacuating for Irma. I just didn't want to take the time to shave. To be honest with you, I let this grow out a lot too, but I've since gotten back to that, and I decided to experiment with the beard. So really, the inspiration is laziness, but that is it. Am I going to go full hipster beard? Well, I don't know what hipster beard looks like, I guess. What would differentiate it, but I don't know. We'll see. It's a work in progress. I'll put it that way. It's my whip. Any idea on the release date for Pandemic Legacy 2? No, I don't. Sorry. Any thoughts on the upcoming Walking Dead game? No. Yeah, no, I don't have any thoughts on it. If you could play only one current Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, expansions included, for the rest of my life, which one would I choose? Wow. I would have to say probably Rebellion. Because to me, Rebellion is the Star Wars saga in a box. And it has all of the different aspects of it. It's a beautifully produced game. It has wonderful miniatures, and yet it doesn't have that bloated feeling to it. You know, it's an epic game, but it doesn't feel like it's a bloated epic game. And like Imperial Assault feels bloated to me because there's so much out there for it, and it's like, you know, drinking from a fire hose. When you think about what you're going to do with the game. And X-Wing is kind of in the same spot. Armada is not so much in that spot, but again, I think that out of, like, for example, those 4 games, that one, the Rebellion, is probably the most palatable to a group of people, I think. I don't know, that's just me. But probably Rebellion. Did your house survive the storm? Yes, for the most part it did. Had a little bit of damage on the back corner on the roof, and we have some leaking inside, so we're going to be getting our insurance company working on that. But by and large, we were very blessed with how little damage our property had. We have 2 sheds in the backyard that were aluminum, and those pretty much got demolished, but I was really kind of looking for a reason to get rid of them anyway. So Irma kind of did me a favor. We had some, you know, some heavy work when we got back, but she kind of did me a favor that way. Do I have Nordic Viking heritage due to your interest in the theme subject? No, I don't actually. Well, I don't know. Maybe, but because my lineage is Irish, my heritage is Irish. I am not Irish. I'm an American. I was born and raised in America, but my ancestors were Irish on my dad's side. So maybe. I mean, they had a lot of dealings with the Irish and the English, so maybe there's something there, but I doubt it. I don't know that there is, so I'm not going to claim that there is. After watching Tom's review of Seventh Continent, have you played it? And if so, what do you think about it? Well, I already talked about it, so you'll have to rewind a little bit and hear that. But Tom is bonkers on it, and I understand that. And I think Jason really liked it. I know Z likes it, and I know I like it. I just don't know exactly how much because I've only played it the once. So there is that. You know, those 4 people, pretty different tastes, not completely different, but we do have all of our really hot buttons, and we all enjoyed it, so that is saying a lot. Is everyone else hearing him? I'm not getting anything volume wise. Well, I don't hear anybody else saying anything about volume, so I'm thinking it must just be you. Try refreshing, I guess. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh man, why did I scroll too far down? What soccer team do I support? Forever United, Manchester United. Dates back to Beckham. Followed him That's when I initially started watching Manchester United, and then Rooney was a favorite of mine as far as his playing style was concerned. I don't know anything about him off the pitch, but I enjoyed Rooney. Well, I lived in Korea when I was really heavily getting into soccer, and oh man, I can't remember I can't remember his name now. Kim? I can't remember his name. It's eluding me right now. They had a Korean player on Manchester United at the time, and it was like Manchester United was the only team on the planet in Korea as far as that was concerned. So there was just a lot of connections there that I've followed over the years. But Man U is the one that I gravitate towards. Let's see, Rockin' the Beard, thank you, appreciate it. I've not played Bento, so I don't have any thoughts on it. I apologize. I don't have a favorite Blood Bowl team just yet because I haven't played it as much as I want to. But I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm probably going to enjoy the Dwarves the most. But again, that's just me. Let's see here. Do you have someone you could recommend to help promote a game I made and produced on my own? No, I don't. Favorite Theocracy song? Either I Am or Nailed. Both of those are probably some of my favorites. I like Nailed because it's the story of Martin Luther, and I like I Am because it talks about all of the different, it's basically I always think of Job when I listen to the song I Am, because I can hear that conversation between him and Job happening in that fashion. So probably wasn't, but there you have it. Let's see. I live in Mexico and I have a hard time finding people to game with. Any advice? Be flexible, I guess, because you can play games with anybody, right? As long as they're willing to play games with you. Be sincere, be honest, be friendly, and just keep asking people to play games with. Maybe start a meetup group. I don't know if Meetup is in Mexico, but meetup.com is where we pretty much where we got involved with our gaming group here in Miami, and that's where we kind of send out blasts on when we're going to have events and that type of thing. Tom is the one that really runs that, but I know that's what he uses. So maybe start a meetup and see how many people will join you. I don't know. Talk to your friends. That's how a lot of game groups start that I know of. Just people getting together with their friends and playing games. So see what kind of games they want to play, what they would be interested in playing, and go that route, and then try to branch off after that. Let's see. Let's see. A number of conventions do designer-focused panels, and it seems the same questions are asked again and again. What's a question that you'd say is not asked often enough? I don't know. We usually tend to focus on those ones that are always asked because we pretty much know that they're going to be asked. But for designers, I don't know. I'm trying to think of one, and I can't really think of one because I don't really have that much of an interest in designing a board game. So I don't have a wealth of research or thought already put into it to draw on. I apologize. Let's see. What is better, Sword and Sorcery, Dungeon Saga, Shadows of Brimstone, or Descent? Oh, wow. Shadows of Brimstone is an epic game. Although it is epic in form, at least. I actually have never been able to play it. I've really wanted to, but it's such a large game. And the one copy that we did get in, a guy asked if he could put the miniatures together And this is way back when. And Tom allowed him to do that, and then we basically never saw the game again. He has since purchased it from us because, I mean, it's like too little too late, you know, kind of thing. But I've always wanted to try the Shadows of Brimstone. I like the Old West horror type feel that it has and look that it has, and the aliens and all that other kind of stuff. But out of the ones that you have listed here, I've only played Sword and Sorcery and Descent. I've actually never tried Dungeon Saga. Rob Oren has it and has been singing its praises and said that I need to try it. I just never had a chance to. So I want to try Dungeon Saga. I want to try Shadows of Brimstone, but I just haven't had the chance. And probably between Descent and Sword and Sorcery, I would say Sword and Sorcery, simply because I feel like Descent is a little bloated. I was talking about that earlier with the Fantasy Flight question. So right now, I would probably say Sword and Sorcery between those four. Although I would probably throw into that mix Massive Darkness. I really like Massive Darkness. I know a lot of people don't because they feel like it's not difficult enough and so forth and so on. But I really enjoy Massive Darkness from CMON as well. So I would throw it in that mix. And Sword and Sorcery and Massive Darkness would probably be the two that I'd pick out of that group. Let's see. What was my first fantasy miniatures game you ever played? Ooh, I would have to say it was Hero Quest. And then probably shortly after that, it was Heroescape, which isn't really I guess you could call it fantasy. But my first tabletop miniatures game where it was Warhammer 40K. Are you interested in Charterstone? Actually, we have been playing Charterstone because we got ourselves a copy sent from us from Mr. Stegmeyer. It is enjoyable. I'll leave it at that. We have already recorded a first impressions after about 4 games of it. So which is where we are right now. We've played 4 games of Charterstone, and or is it 5? I think it's just 4. And we've done a first impressions. That's going up soon-ish. There's an embargo on it, so there's an embargo date rather. So as soon as that date happens, that as well as our full review, because between now and then we're going to be playing more games of it. So right now I'm a little cool on it, but I do enjoy it. I think it's a wonderful system. But I want to get some more plays under my belt before we make the final call, or at least until I make the final call on how much I like it or dislike it. That is a interesting question. Does Tom consider himself the leader of the Dice Tower? He is. He's the founder and president. And if he isn't, he is. Do you let him think he is in charge? He is in charge. Period. So there you have it. Do you guys have any news about the sequel to Cottage Garden, Indian Summer? I do not. I see that it's being, I think, released at Essen. I haven't looked into it that much because I'm not a big fan of Cottage Garden to begin with. That theme just is very, it's the antithesis of what I usually look for in a game. So I don't have any news on it at all, really. Best board game shop that I have been to. Let's see. When I lived in California, there's a really good game shop there. At least it was good there. I haven't been there in 7 years, so I don't know how it is now. But when I was there, Black Diamond in Concord, California, really great game shop. There's another game shop called Madness Games or something to that effect in Plano, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Really great shop. Snakes and Lattes up in Toronto, really good. So there's a lot of them that are out there, but again, over the years, they don't stick in my mind very well. So those are just a few. Those are just a few that I have personally been to that were really good. Surprised about Century making your top 100. What is it about some cube pushers or cub pushers and abstracts that appeals to you? Really, it has to do with how it looks on the board. I'm a huge proponent of aesthetically pleasing games. And more often than not, abstract games are not aesthetically pleasing. They're probably very well designed. They're very cranial. But as far as the aesthetics, how the game looks, and that type of thing, they usually are, that's like the last thing they were thinking about. So for me, to enjoy a cube pusher or an abstract strategy game, it has to be aesthetically pleasing. And that's where I think Century, Spice Road and Century Golem Edition fall. I think Golem Edition looks way more, it's much cooler looking theme than Spice Road was. So really, I would say that Golem Edition fills that spot for me. But again, I haven't played Golem Edition. I've only played the Spice Road Edition. And I know they're the same game. But I guess for posterity's sake, that's why I put Century Spice Road on there instead of the Golem Edition. But really, it's Golem Edition that's holding that place. So really, that's about it. That's about it. It has to look good, and that's why. Says Diego, hello from Argentina. He says, gaming here is very expensive. You have like a $30 shipping charge from the States and then 50% taxes on total price. Any advice on how to deal with gaming passion on this situation? Unfortunately, no, I don't have any ideas. That's a really difficult spot to be in. I know that when we lived in Korea, we had a similar situation, although it wasn't nearly as drastic as what you're dealing with. But it's very difficult to get games in Argentina. I've heard that Brazil is very similar. I think anybody down in the South Americas is just really difficult, that I've heard, at least people talking to me. So I don't know. Keep petitioning for your local businessman to open up a game shop. I have no idea. I don't know if that would actually help, because then it would just be the game shop, I guess, passing those prices on to its customers. So unfortunately, no, I don't have any advice, because I just don't know how you would do a workaround there, other than stocking up on games whenever you make a trip to America and then taking them back with you. That's the only thing. Saving up your money, and instead of making that online purchase, you go to a store while you're here and make your purchase there, and then bring it back with you in your luggage. That's the only thing I could probably advise you on, and I don't even know if that's going to be, if you would still get hit with some kind of tax or something like that when you come back. I don't know how it is. But there you go. Let's see here. About how many games do I own and have in my home? I would say it's anywhere from about 2 to 250. Might even be a little bit more than that. But again, some of those are about to be culled. I usually try to keep my collection around 200 games. Just because any more than that is, I got a family of 6. I don't have the room to keep those any more than that in my house. Let's see. I am doing fine, Peter. Thank you for asking. Did you have any chance to demo Simon's upcoming game, Hate, at Gen Con? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Could we do another game of Quiplash? Army of One for the win. I guess we could. We really enjoy doing that. So I'll bring it up to Tom. We'll see. Or maybe he's listening. No, he's probably not. Let's see. How many playthroughs of TI4 have you done so far? Actually, just 2. Again, this is one of the reasons why TI3 slipped in my top 100, is because it's such an epic game that it's hard to get to the table. Now, with that having been said, I am looking to the very near future, hopefully before Essen, although I can't promise that, to do a live playthrough of TI4 with myself and Vernon and maybe 2 other people, probably just 1 other. I want to keep the length of the playthrough, of the live playthrough, at as much of a minimum as I can. And I know we can get a 3-hour game done in about 3.5 hours. So that's coming. Whether it's going to be before Essen or after Essen, maybe sometime in December or November, I don't know. But it is in my mind, and it's on the docket. We just got to get around to doing it. Let's see. Yes, I am excited for the start of the hockey season. I love hockey. From Pittsburgh, huh? Meh, you Penguins fan. I was actually pulling for. Oh man, I am brain farting so much today. I was rooting against the Penguins this last year just because the other team, somebody's gonna say it, was it was the first time. It was their first this and that. Was it the Predators? Yeah, the Predators, Nashville Predators. So I was really wanting the Predators to win, but hey, better team won, right? Will I keep this style of beard? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to keep the beard. I'm honest with you. Like I said, this is a work in progress. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have to say though that I I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I dig the Duck Dynasty type beards. I suffer a little bit of beard envy whenever I meet Lance Meister. I love that kind of stuff. I would. I like that look. I don't know if it's gonna work here though. So we'll see. Let's see. Looking here. Any under the radar zombie games you could recommend? I like Dead of Winter and Zombicide. City of Horror maybe. Last Night on Earth is a good zombie game. It's the one that really kind of lit that genre up for me. And then I play Zombicide Black Plague more often than I do Last Night on Earth, but that's a good one. And at this point, it's kind of under the radar, but it has a lot of people that like it. So check that one out maybe. War of the Rings still in my collection? No, it's not. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Alien Artifacts? Well, the last time I played Alien Artifacts was last year at BGG-Con, and from what I understand, it has changed a lot since then. So that's actually one of the games that's on my possible list of games that might make my top 10 games to look forward to at Essen, because I want to play it again to see how it has changed. And to see how I like it now with all of the changes. So Ignacy says that all of the changes have been for the better. So it is a better game than when I played it at BGG. So whether I will like it better, I don't know. I want to try it out though. Do I like the game A Song of Ice and Fire from Simon? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, that's one of the games that is on my short list for my top 10 games that you should go demo at Essen. So whether or not it makes the list, I don't know. But yes, I do. I really enjoy it a lot, actually. I even like it better than the Rune Wars. Is that right? Rune Wars, the Rune. Yeah, Rune something from Fantasy Flight. I think is Rune Wars. But I like it better than that. Do I paint my own minis? Yes, I do. Advice for beginners. Actually, Rob Orn and I have a series of videos called Battling Brushes. And that is the target audience for our videos, is beginners, to show people, the basics of how to get started and basic techniques and all this kind of thing. So a lot of the techniques that we employ in those videos are advice that we would give to our any beginners. If you have the opportunity to come to Dice Tower Con next year, Rob and I usually run some painting tutorial classes where we give you some models. They're paint and takes basically, but we're there walking around and giving advice, and people are feel free to ask questions and that type of thing. So that's another possibility if you're able to make it to Dice Tower Con. But yeah, advice for beginners is for on the offset, don't go out and buy all of the expensive hobby model paints, like Citadel and Army Painter and all of those guys. Start off with some, just some pastels that you can pick up at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something like that for real cheap. Start off with some real cheap brushes and and you know, try it out first. As far as beginning, don't break out your $100 board game and start experimenting with those. Buy a package of like plastic army men and start work and practice on those guys. And then once you feel like you have those basic techniques down, then you can move over to your expensive board game and give those a shot. But keep it simple, you know. That's the best advice I think I can give for beginners, because I always have a fear that people are going to feel inundated and overwhelmed by all of the different things that are out there and different possibilities that you can go into. Do I do I use a wet palette, or do I just use, you know? And these are all questions that as a beginner you don't really need to worry about off the cuff. Wait until you get into it, you know you enjoy the hobby, and then start making some of those other decisions. So just keep it simple at the onset. Let's see. Do small world expansions add enough to the base game to justify purchasing? Also, any thoughts on the new small world Sky Islands? You know, I don't have any information about Sky Islands except for the fact that I want to see it and try it. The River expansion, the River World expansion, was a great expansion for Small Worlds because it really changed. There's some of the older stuff from Small World that I have chosen to pass on just because what it did to change the game, I wasn't interested in. So, like, one of the expansions helped you create the board that you play on. Who cares? They have double-sided things that come in the base game, and so that was completely off my radar. But some of the other smaller expansions, it's kind of falls into a more the merrier type category for me, because the more races you have available, the more classes that can be combined with the races that are available, just the more variability that you have. And so you kind of have to pick and choose as far as that's concerned. Some of the other big box expansions, like I think it's Underground, I think was the one. That's either a take it or leave it type thing as well. It might be good to get that just to get the other races and classes that are in there. But again, that's kind of hit or miss as well. So it's really, you have to look at it with what you like, the enjoyment that you get out of the game, and then make that decision. I can't make that decision for you. Let's see here. Do you always have to refresh yourself on rules for a game before you play? Usually I want to, yes. The only one, there's only a few that I don't have to do that with, and that's because my brain just doesn't retain all that information as well as other people's brains probably do. But really the only ones that I don't have to do a whole lot of refreshing on are games like Blood Rage. You know, strangely enough, TI4 actually is probably a little bit easier to remember all the rules for than the TI3, just because it has less going on at this point. So games that I've really played a lot over the years, not usually as much, but other games that I've only played a few times, yeah, of course. Let's see. What game do you most want to play right at this moment? Well, Jay, there's one that I don't think that I can really talk about too much. But there's another one that I already mentioned, and that's the Warhammer Underworlds Shadespire. Though that's one that I really, really, really want to hit to the table as soon as possible. Let's see here. Have I ever been to a board game convention here in Spain? No, I have not, Pablo. And that's simply because I've never been to Spain. I've lived in Germany for a while, and while we were in Germany, we traveled to France, we traveled to the Netherlands, we traveled to Belgium, we traveled in that direction. We never went all the way down to Spain, though. Have I played Paper Tales? Yes, I have. And we have a Miami Dice coming out on that, I believe, in about half an hour. So when we're done here, you can go check out that, and you can get all three of our thoughts, because Z, Tom, and I did that Miami Dice together on Paper Tales. So there you have that. Let's see. No, I have not played War of Kings yet. Squirrel Pig 123 says, I asked your favorite mini paint job and you said it was stolen. Is this a normal risk in a D&D group? Well, first of all, it wasn't a D&D group. It was it was at a shop in the mall, and it's where we went to go play Warhammer 40K back in the day. This was when I was in college in Pensacola, Florida. And it was after a tournament. I think we were going out to get lunch or something like that, and then we were going to come right back and play games and then go home. Well, I asked the guy, will you guys take care of this? Will it be safe back here? It was in a back room. It's not like I left it out in the front room of the store or anything like that, where it was just anybody could walk in and grab it. It was in the back room, and so I would probably say that no, that's not a common occurrence. But same thing, I've been outside of that genre of gaming for quite some time, so I don't really have my finger on the pulse of it any longer. It's more like I'm admiring it from the outside in. So whether it's like that now, I don't know. But back then, I think it was an anomaly. It just, it was a poor decision that I made. I should have just taken it with me, but I didn't want to carry it. Yeah, I don't think it's normal. No. Excuse me. Let's see. Okay, here. This person says, and I can't pronounce your name. Colm Nelligan says, you always hype Bang the Dice game. What's the difference between that and Bang the card game? Really, there's not a whole lot of difference, other than the fact that Bang the Dice game is like a fraction of the time investment necessary. Second, one is a dice game, the other one is a card game. So that's a pretty big difference. You're rolling dice in another one, you're not. You're just playing a card game in the other. And then finally, the card game has a slight flaw to it, where at the end it can drag on longer than it really should, especially with the higher player counts. Now with the expansion, and again, I haven't kept up on the expansions of the card game. With the expansion of the dice game, they also have a way to help alleviate some of the player elimination problem that Bang the Dice game had. Now again, Bang the Dice game is a shorter game, so player elimination wasn't a huge deal, at least to me, to begin with. But with the expansion, they now have the ghost character, where the first person to get knocked out becomes the ghost, and they continue helping the team that they were on while they were living. So that helps with that elimination a little bit. So really, those are the main differences between the two. It's really the same thing. You're doing the same things in the course of the game. You're just doing them in a different manner. And with Bang the Dice game, it's much more fast and, in my opinion, much more enjoyable. No, I've never played Star Wars Rebellion solo. I don't like playing games solo. So yeah. Let's see. What is the next big game you think you will not live up to the hype? I haven't a clue. And I don't like making those kinds of predictions anyway, because I wouldn't be speaking from a point of knowledge and experience. I would be speaking from just pure speculation. I don't like doing that. Let's see. Have any advice for teaching games to children? Yeah, get a nanny to do it. No, just kidding. I am not good at teaching games to children. I have, there's a reason I was a high school student, there's a reason I was a high school teacher, and that's because I have unless you're talking about my own kids, my level of patience that I have with other younger kids decreases with the number of levels of separation they get away from me. Like, my friends' kids and my kids, I'm very, I like to think at least that I'm very patient with them. But the further out I get from those degrees of separation, then the less patience I have. So I'm not really the person to ask as far as asking, how to teach kids games and stuff like that, because I'm just not there at all. I just saw this one. I don't have a favorite solo game because I don't play games solo. I am trying to get back to Pak Ji-sung. Yes, thank you, Luke. Pak Ji-sung, yes. Loved his style. He was the last person to stop running on that team. Sometimes, it was, everybody would just be kind of jogging. There's Pak Ji-sung just, I mean, he's lightning fast. So yeah, Pak Ji-sung is that. That is correct. That's how far behind I am. Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. Found it. Let's see. Have I had a chance to play Star Wars Destiny? Yes. What do I think? I hate that model of marketing, where you have these rares and super rares and ultra rares and all this kind of stuff, and yeah, I just don't like that. Again, the game itself is fine, slightly boring, but I mean, it was so fun. But just it never grabbed me, and that on top of the how much dislike I have for that marketing model, I just completely wrote it off. Actually, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and say this because I've heard this. I've seen this question come up a lot, and it's people asking about games I would recommend for a Christian youth group. Ones that I've found work well with my group. Theme, message, perhaps in the game. I usually am very hesitant, first of all, to say what games have worked well with mine, because first of all, I don't know your pastor, and I don't know what kind of restrictions, if any, he's put on you. So I don't want to give you a game that unbeknownst to me, breaks one of his rules or recommendations or restrictions on games that he will say is okay at a youth group or whatever. So I don't like to give that kind of advice unless I'm speaking to somebody face to face and we can kind of hash through some of those questions at the onset of the conversation. So I'm going to not give any advice, and if you really want to know, email me, and we'll try to hash through some of those questions later on. Let's see here. Let's see. Bryce asks, how do you and the Dice Tower find your contributors for the various contributor-driven shows like Board Game Breakfast, Board Game Blender, and Throat Punch Lunch? Is there an application process? Do they blind pitch you or approach you at some conventions, etc.? Well, we do have people that approach us at conventions, and usually what we tell them is we just ask them to send us a audition video, and an audition video is simply show us what your idea is rather than telling us. Show us what the idea, record a segment in the time frame that we would be asking for, and show us what your thing is, and then we work with them after that, whether it's cleaning up this aspect of it, or what if you did it this way, or it's simply, yeah, that's great, I'd love to include it, that type of stuff. There isn't an application process or anything like that, unless you want to call what I just described to you as an application process. But usually it's, if Tom gets a segment pitched to him, and for whatever reason he's not interested in it, he'll say, do one of you guys want it, talking to me and Z, and we'll take a look at it, and usually it works out to where one of us will probably be willing to take it in. More the merrier, because often life happens and contributors just sometimes can't be as consistent as they want to be because life happens. And so having somebody coming off the bench to fill that spot, even if it's not every single episode, that helps. So I would just contact us and go from there. Let's see here. How do you expect the Cubs to do in the playoffs? I hope they do well. I mean, I hope they win it all, right? I'm hoping for a Cubs Astros. A little bit of nostalgia there because that is the first professional baseball game that I ever went to. My dad took us to see the Cubs play the Houston Astros in what did it used to be called? The Dome, the something or other, the Houston Aerodome or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was the old park where the Houston Astros used to play back when not Jose Canseco, he was with the A's. Jose, I can't remember his last name, but he was the outfielder for the Astros at the time, and those are the first two teams that I ever went to watch professionally, the Cubs and the Houston Astros. So I'd love to see them in the World Series. But of course, I hope they do well, and I think they can. Just there's any given Sunday, you know that idea. Let's see here. Have I done a DNA test? My family is mostly Irish, but I was surprised my second highest level was Scandinavian. Well, that does make some sense, right? I mean, if you just look at history and the interaction that the British Isles had with those Scandinavians, that's a possibility. So yeah, that's cool. Let's see here. Volume is good. Okay, cool. Thanks. Current favorite video game? I don't really have one. Although my son just bought Blood Bowl 2, the video game, for our Xbox. So I'm looking forward to trying that one out. But I don't currently have one that's my favorite. Will the Dice Tower be reviewing Shadespire when it comes out? We actually already have a copy. It's sitting on my desk. I've already put all the models together, and I'm going to be playing it tonight, hopefully. I've already played it 3 or 4 times in Nottingham when I was at UKGE, but I want to play it again before I review it, but it's going to be coming this week, I hope. That's the plan, at least. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I see a lot of recurring questions that I've already answered, so I'm scrolling down. Enjoy watching your show as well as Tabletop. Any chance of having the Dice Tower crew and Will play Blood Rage together? I would be totally down for that. Blood Rage being my favorite game. I think it would be a good game to play on that larger scale as well. There's a lot of action, although the drafting part of the game might not be that conducive, but they can probably edit that part out and just focus on the gameplay aspect of each round. So yeah, I'd be down for that, but I mean, I think Will has to like the game before it goes up there, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't know I exist. I know he's played games with Tom before, so but I'd be down for it, that's for sure. Let's see. Thank you, Jeremiah. Appreciate it. Are any of you going to Essen this year? Yeah, we're all going. Tom, Z, and I, and Derek, and I believe Mandy, and Eric. Summer's going to be there as well. Jason's going to be there as well. And I think Dave Ludza's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of our... I think Andre Nordstrand's also going to be there. I haven't heard that he isn't. So I think there's going to be a lot of Dice Tower crew there at Essen this year. Just as many as last year, maybe a couple more. So there you go. Happy you recommend Commissioned. Is there a runner-up biblical game that you like? Nehemiah is also a good worker placement type of game that's focused around the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem after the Babylonian captivity, so you can check that one out as well. That's kind of a second runner-up as far as modern board games are concerned. Let's see here. Storage solution for miniatures. Man, that is the question, right? That is so difficult to have good solutions, and really, it boils down to if there isn't an organizer from like Meeple Realty or Broken Token or Daedalus or any of those guys, they all do a great job. Then Rob Searing also has his foam core inserts, and there's a lot of tutorials on the internet about how to do all of these things by yourself. So really, you might just have to go to the drawing board and design your own if you can't find one that you can purchase. But yeah, it's great. Good luck, because some of these games, when they're shotgunning it, I mean, good night. There's so much in it. I mean, I just have this stuff here. Look at this. 1, 2. Both of these boxes. There's 44 miniatures in those 2 boxes. Well, 22 each. Here's another 22. Here's 4 more. And oh, look, another 4 more. And the game comes with like 60 miniatures to begin with. And I don't think companies are putting a whole lot of thought into it about, making these games more storable. We have to go to aftermarket. So, yeah, All right, scrolling up a little bit here. Let's see. I'm scrolling. We got about 10 minutes left. Can you call dibs on any of the games I'm going to call? I don't know. Early thought on Shadespire. I like the game. I like the game a lot. This is the kind of the first game that is not a tabletop miniatures game that they've come out with. This is a tactical game. 2 players, can be played with 3 or 4 players, and that's one of the cool things about it as well. Is that I think it's going to scale well. I don't know for sure yet because I haven't tried it with 3 and 4 players, but I think it's going to scale well because of how they've designed those 3 and 4 player versions. But it's a great little. You have, like, for example, if you play the Hammers, you have a 3-man squad. If you play the Gore Chosen, then you have a 5-man squad. If you play the Skeleton Crew, then you have 7 people in your squad, and so forth and so on. And the Orcs, I think, have 4 people in their squad. And so it's just very small squads, and it's just very quick back and forth 3 rounds. And whoever has the most glory points wins. On top of that, it's card driven, so it's you can take time to build your deck, and there's rules around how to build your deck and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of really cool things, and this is one of the games that they've come out with that is kind of apart from their major, Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Fantasy bread and butter. That is like a viable, good, modern feeling game. So I'm really excited about it. I really enjoyed the time that I had playing with the designers at Nottingham this summer, this past spring, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how people in my gaming group are going to attach themselves to it. All right, now I know I'm skipping a whole lot of stuff here, and I apologize, but I only have about 7 minutes left. I have a hard end time of 2 o'clock. For other reasons. So I apologize for that. So let's go ahead and do the lightning round for the last 7 minutes. You ask me a question that is usually, for example, I have here turkey or ham. Definitely ham. So those kinds of questions, give me 2 choices and I choose one, and we'll keep moving on. Okay, so lightning round to begin now. Let's hit it. And now I'm waiting. Okay, while I'm waiting, what's the next game to paint? Dust 1947 from Paulo Parente. That's the next one that Rob and I are going to tackle on Battling Brushes. So, there you go. All right. Let's see here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Let's go, let's go. Blue or green? Green. Cat or dog? Dogs. Spring or fall? Fall, because it's cooler. Pandemic or flashpoint? Pandemic. Pips or digits? Pips! Pie or cake? Pie. Tastes great, less filling. I'm not answering that one. Bad. Glasses or contacts? Honestly, contacts, but I can't afford them. Buccaneers or privateers? I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to answer that. TI3 or TI4? TI4. Let's see here. Pandemic or cosmic encounter? Ooh. Depends on the mood I'm in. I like both of them pretty much evenly. Werewolf or vampire? I would probably be a vampire. Batman or Superman? Out of those two, Batman. Squirrel or guinea pig? They're both rodents. Conan or Batman? Oh, ha. There's underveiling comments there. As a comic, I'm going to say Batman. As a board game, I don't know yet. Champions of Midgard, Lords of Waterdeep. You should know this one. Champions of Midgard. Coke or Pepsi? Coke. No Coke, Pepsi. Z with beard or Z with goatee? Whatever he wants. Dice chucking or dice drafting? Chucking. Hello. No eating. Okay. Oh, that was a good one. I'm sorry. I got to go back to that one. Where is it? Where is it? No eating for 3 days straight or never play TI4 again. No eating for 3 days straight. Easy. Jelly or marmalade? Don't really care. Although marmalade has a weird consistency to it, so maybe jelly. Zombies or Cthulhu? Definitely zombies. Mustard or ketchup? Ketchup? Attack wing or tail feather? Neither. Let's see. What's your favorite quick to teach game? I don't know. Blood Rage or Uno? Come on. Blood Rage. Talking in gibberish forever or smelling like gibberish forever? I didn't know gibberish had a smell. I'll have to look into that. Wonder Woman or Miss Marvel? Wonder Woman. Thor or Loki? Thor. Duh. Carson City or Great Western Trail? Carson City. Let's see. Terminator 1 or 2? 1, because it was the original. Blood Rage or Rising Sun? I've already said it, Blood Rage, although I really like Rising Sun. Fiction or nonfiction? Depends on the mood that I'm in, but probably more often than not fiction. Beating Jason at a game or Z playing TI4? At this point, Z playing TI4. Let's see. Raiders or Fire and Axe? Fire and Axe. Although I do really like Raiders of the North Sea. Let's see. French toast or pancakes? French toast. Much better choice. Toronto or Halifax? Never been to Halifax. Have been to Toronto, so I'll have to choose Toronto. Really enjoyed the time that we had there. Friday or night or Saturday night? I don't know. Book or movie? It depends. I know the books are usually better, but sometimes they have too much information, and I like the condensed version of a movie, but it depends. That's what I'm going to have to say. Sprite or Orange Crush? I'm not really a big fan of the Crush sodas, so of those two, I'll say Sprite. Ninja or Samurai? I'm going to go with Samurai. I think they were a little bit more honorable. Let's see. Shoes or sandals? Definitely shoes. That's one of the things that I really don't like so much about living in Florida is that everybody likes to wear flip-flops, and I think that feet are ugly. So I would rather people wear shoes. San Antonio Spurs or Miami Heat? Hands down Spurs. San Antonio is my hometown. And Massive Darkness or Warhammer Quest? Ooh, you know, the miniature quality is better in Warhammer Quest, just because GW, that's their bread and butter, miniatures. That's not to say anything disparaging about the miniatures in Massive Darkness. They are great. I just think the GW has better models. But I think the gameplay is better in Massive Darkness than in Warhammer Quest. But it's also... Warhammer Quest is a fun game. Don't get me wrong, yeah. Let's see. Samurais or Vikings? Both are equal. I think they're. I probably have a little bit more of an affinity for Vikings, but I really enjoy stories that have samurai in it and that type of thing. Blood Rage or TI4? We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, not going to say that. Wooden dice or plastic dice? I'm going to say plastic dice. Wooden dice have a weight ratio weirdness feel to it. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but they just, the tactile feeling of wooden dice doesn't do it for me. Let's see. Teaching games or playing with experience? It depends on the game. But more often than not, I would rather play with other experienced people. But that doesn't mean that I don't like teaching a game as well. It just really depends on the game. Azul or Century Golem Edition. I have played Azul, and I probably like Century Golem Edition a little bit better. But Azul is interesting. Just probably not my cup of tea. Marvel or DC? You need to watch more of my videos. Definitely Marvel. Bacon or bacon? That is the question. Ranch or barbecue? Definitely ranch. I would put ranch on my cold cereal if I could, because I just really like it. Grow up with that. Mythic Battles Pantheon or Time of Legends Joan of Arc? Wow, that's a question that I'm going to be thinking about over the next couple of days. Stay tuned. Beard or goatee? I'll get back to you on that. I don't know yet. Let's see here. Hurricane or tornado? Neither, please. Thank you very much. McDonald's or Burger King? Wendy's. Let's see. All right. Well, that's 2 o'clock. I am going to sign off now because I must. I really do appreciate you guys spending some time with me here, though. I sincerely do. I hope that I was able to get to many of your questions, but I know that I did miss a lot. So write them down, keep them stored away somewhere, and I'll be trying to do these a little bit more frequently in the past. Or in the past. Wow, how would that work? That wouldn't. In the future, I'll be trying to do more of these more frequently. So keep them stored up, and maybe I'll get to them next time. Now, we have a rather important date with a rather interesting game that we just got in a couple days ago. And so I'm going to close out here. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Thanks again. See ya.